Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome back to my channel, In All Seasons Homestead. Today I am going to be making chili rellenos and rice for dinner tonight. And this is actually a request from my sister. She wanted to remember how to make chili rellenos, and what they are poblano peppers stuffed with queso fresco and then rolled in egg, fluffy beaded egg, and then you fry them, and then you serve them with rice and tortilla on the side. So I thought today would be a great opportunity to make this video, and if you've never tried it, hopefully inspire someone to try this recipe. So the first thing I'm going to do is wash up the poblano peppers. Now these are peppers from the store. If I would have frozen my own from the garden, I feel like they would be a little smushy after I took them out of the freezer. So these are from the store. I make them more in the summertime when we have a lot of peppers, and that's why sometimes I stuff different kinds of peppers, not just poblano. Usually I use between 4 and 6 eggs for this recipe. I try to start with 4 and see if that can cover all the peppers. Sometimes I make 6 peppers, sometimes I make 8, just depends who wants one. So you can just use about an egg per chili really. But let's see how that works out tonight. So depending on how many people you're feeding, as how many peppers you want, then you'll need your eggs. Also, I have my lard. This is pork fat, but you can use any type of fat you want, or vegetable oil, whatever you're using. For the rice, I'll also need just a little bit of oil and onion and some tomato sauce. So the first thing I'm going to do, since I already washed these, is I'm going to set these in the oven on low broil. And what I'm going to be doing is roasting the top, and then when it gets kind of brown and bubbly, then I will flip them. So you'll want to dry off your peppers a little bit. And then you're going to place your peppers. Now, you could put these on a pan. Sometimes, if they have a little bit more water content, they will drip down and make a slight mess in your oven. But I found out when I put them on a pan, I feel like the air or the heat doesn't circulate around the pepper very well. It just makes the bottom more mushy and then the top golden. I just don't like how it turns out, so I just have to make myself a mess and just put it directly on the rack. And excuse my hideous, dirty oven. This is a real life. I have been cooking and baking a lot, and I tried to put it on the clean mode the other day, and it was just too smoky and stinky. So I need to wait for a warm day outside and open the windows and get my oven clean. But at least you can see what I'm doing. My oven has not yet heated up, so all the peppers are in there. And while they are heating up and roasting, I'm actually going to start my rice. Now what I do is I roast my peppers, and then I'm starting my rice, and then while my rice is cooking, then I will keep continuing to check the chilies, the peppers, and rotating them. Sometimes the rice is done before I'm ready to make the peppers, and sometimes everything just kind of overlaps. But If you're not comfortable with making the peppers and then starting the rice and then worrying about frying the peppers, you can just do one thing at a time. You know, I make about 1.5 cups of rice to feed about 6 people, and that's what I make about every time, about 1.5 cups. All right, in your saucepan, you're gonna turn it on and start heating it up. And this is going to be the Mexican red rice. So what you do is you put a little oil and you're gonna fry your rice. So maybe like between 1 and 3 tablespoons of oil. I never measure, I just don't even think about it, I just look at it. So you get that melted, and while it's melting, you will measure your rice out. So there's my 1.5 cups is what I usually use, and that should make about 3 cups of rice total. So while I'm letting my oil melt, I'm going to chop up a small onion, or if you have a large onion, just use a chunk of it up to 1/2. It just depends on how much onion you want and how big your onion is. So this is a pretty small onion, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and use all of it. Okay, the oil is hot enough. Just pour your rice in. And what you're going to be doing is just stirring the rice around in the oil. And when it's not yet too hot, you don't have to stir it too constant. You just want to coat all the rice with the oil. And then you can get your other items ready just for a couple minutes. Like, I'm going to keep my onion nearby. I'm going to go ahead and fill up my measuring cup. So since this is 1.5 cups of rice, I'm going to need about 3 cups of water. I just want this nearby for when I'm ready. And then you can also use all kinds of tomatoes for this. It's just going to slightly change the flavor or texture. I usually use tomato juice canned from the garden, and I use about 1/2 pint for about 1.5 cups of rice. And then you will just keep working the rice until it gets a nice brown color. And I figured out that everything you do differently with rice changes the flavor and the texture. Like I said, the tomatoes, whether it's diced tomatoes, fresh tomatoes, tomato puree, it's gonna change the texture of the rice. Sometimes the oil will change how the rice cooks. Sometimes if you're adding diced tomatoes, you might need a little more water, and tomato juice, you may need a little less water. So every way that you do rice is a little different, but basically you just have to keep an eye on it. Really watch what kind of tomato products and oils and how much onion, because even onion can have a lot of water content, because then your rice could burn or your rice could be too sticky. And this part of browning the rice can take 3 to 10 minutes really. I have my heat on a medium heat. I just prefer it that way. I'd rather take longer than just do it too fast and burn it. Another thing you can do while your rice is starting to brown and you're not going far away is to take a peek at your peppers. And usually it takes a few minutes, but I see one starting to brown right here. the skin is kind of bubbling off, and that's what you want, is you want the skin to start turning brown and popping up just like that, because we're going to be peeling these peppers. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes and it is just now turning slightly brown. Don't know how well you can see that, but it needs to be browner. See this one right here? That's what I want. Very evenly browned. The skin is starting to peel away, so I'm going to flip that one. If I would have just cleaned my oven, I probably would have lined the bottom with aluminum foil. But since I didn't get to it, I really don't care right now. Not even started to broil. So basically, I had to keep my eye on just that one for now. Another thing that can change the flavor of the rice is how brown you get it. I guess that just depends on your preference of flavor. I do not like the overcooked, almost burnt taste, but some people do. So they'll make their rice really dark. I like mine a little bit more fluffy, so I just want a medium color to the rice. Okay, this is about the color that I prefer. Just a light brown. So at this point, I'm going to add in my onion. Now this is another preference. Some people will saute their onion and their rice for a long time together. I think that that changes the flavor and the texture a lot. So I just give it a few turns, a few stirs, and then I will add my water. So that was my 2 cups. And here is my 3rd cup. And then I'm going to put about a half a pint of tomato juice or tomato sauce. Give that a stir. And then I usually put about 2 teaspoons of salt. A pinch of pepper. I have to put pepper in everything. And usually about a teaspoon of parsley. And then I will just stir that. And while I'm waiting for this to cook a little bit, I'll keep an eye on the peppers. And what I like to do, and it takes about, I want to say 20 minutes, but I'll try to watch the clock and see, but I like to wait until the water is almost cooked before I put the lid on. I don't know, I just figured out that I just like the texture of the rice. So, okay, there's something I want to show you. This is the pepper that is turning out beautifully. This one is doing well. Now this right here, let me just take it all the way out. This has never happened to me in 10 plus years until recently. It almost looks like it's burning. And this is not the air bubble that I really want. It's somewhat, but it's almost just like a burnt spot. And then the skin is just wrinkling up. And my garden peppers never have done this. I don't know why recently, until this last year, this has been happening. It's just wrinkly, and then I can't peel off the skin. But right there, that kind of weird texture. That's just not doable. So when your rice starts to boil, I keep it on a medium heat for a while, and then I'll turn it on low when I top it. You just want to kind of watch it for a little while, just give it a little casual stir. And then while that's cooking, and I've already checked my peppers, I'm going to start prepping a few things for our peppers. Now, this is the Queso Fresco brand that I usually get. It's supposed to be a crumbly cheese. I think in one of my last videos, I showed you how I made my own Queso Fresco, but today we're just going to use the store-bought. And then this will be for your eggs, and this will be for your flour. Now your flour, you don't have to measure it, it's just to roll your peppers in. I usually just use about a half a cup. You can always just put more if you need it. And then your eggs, you're gonna separate them. Get my hand mixer ready. You have your mixer ready, your egg whites, your egg yolks, your flour, and next is your Queso Fresco. Okay, for your Queso Fresco, you just want to cut slices depending how many you need, and also about the size of your peppers, because some peppers are quite large, so I'd need like a whole piece. Others, I might just cut it in half because it's a smaller pepper. And there's everything I need for my peppers, including my oil. And when you hear this sound, you know you need to give your rice a stir. And that's what I'm talking about. Definitely not cooked through, but there's not much water left. So at this point, I'm gonna put the lid on and then turn it a little lower. Take another peek at the peppers. Getting there. Now, at this point, this pepper is pretty well done. You can easily peel it. So we're gonna set that out. The other ones are not quite done. Okay, so this is your next step. Your peppers are roasted on both sides, and you are going to peel off the skin as much as possible. And I have tried this before without peeling the skin, and what happens is the flour does not stick to the pepper. I was just wanted to see for myself. I wanted to see if it was necessary, and I can see that this is a necessary step. If you want that flour to stick to your pepper, and then the eggs stick to the flour before frying. I mean, once in a while, if you have a little piece of skin and you see that it's peeling too much of the pepper away, it's okay. The skin is still not hard anymore. It's soft. The flour will still stick to it. And you can let these cool down if they're too hot to really touch. See the size difference. Sometimes you'll need a bigger piece of cheese or smaller piece of cheese to stuff inside the peppers. And then I'm going to pull my pan over, and I'm going to let that heat up just on low. I'm not too worried about it because I still have some more work with the peppers. Okay, once you pretty well have the peel off, you're going to want to get the seeds out. And I tried to make the smallest hole as possible, and I just try to scrape or dig the seeds. And every pepper is just a little bit different. Sometimes I'll have to stick my hand in there and get them all. Other times it's just like a tiny amount of seeds. Looks like this one is just covered. And then sometimes I want to show you something that's tricky, at least for these store-bought peppers, is if you don't cook it long enough, then you can't get the peel off. And then if you cook it too long, it splits. It's almost like the store-bought peppers have more water content, and I really have trouble with them. But like I said, not until this year. I don't know what it is. But if your pepper splits apart, don't worry. When you put your flour and egg around it, the egg will cook and kind of keep your pepper back together. So maybe next summer I will try to do a video on some fresh poblano peppers from the garden to show you that I don't really have this issue. Maybe it's just me. If anyone's ever made this recipe, just please comment below and let me know if you've seen any differences this past year, or if you haven't made or have made this recipe. Okay, before I continue with the peppers, I just want to take a peek at the rice. It's quite steamy and hot, but it's cooked all the way through and it's fluffy. I like to see it fluffy but yet separated. I don't really like it to be all chunky. But like I said, it depends on a lot of moisture factors, I believe. But I'm happy with this. So I'm going to take this off the heat and keep the lid on and just let it set. Okay, let's see if these peppers behave a little bit more. So far, so good. Now, I usually use a spoon to dig out the seeds, but if your pepper has cooled off a while, then you can just grab your seeds and it's a lot faster than using a spoon. Now, here are the two weird peppers that I was talking about. It almost has like a burnt smell, but there's just no bubbles to it still. And the flesh is just, I don't think I can peel that really. I thought about putting it in a plastic bag and trying to use the heat and then steaming it off. This pepper here, it just burnt on one side, but you can see that it just went all the way down to the pepper. So you have the peel, and then you have the skin, and then you have the pepper. It's supposed to have this green on it, and just the top layer is supposed to come off, but it just cooks it almost all the way down. But it's still edible, so I'll just try to cook it up and use it. But I just wanted you to see that sometimes things just don't work out correctly. Okay, so my skillet is heating up. Now I'm going to add the oil, or in my case, lard. And you want to get your peppers at least halfway submerged so you can just rotate them one time. Okay, while our oil is heating up, what we need to do is stuff the peppers. So you'll take your cheese and you'll pick a pepper. You're going to stuff it inside the best you can. And sometimes if you're dealing with the type of pepper that I've been talking about that's kind of like falling to pieces, you can place some toothpicks in it temporarily to keep it together. So I'll do that to this one so you can see. You just don't want to forget to take these out later, but I usually just leave them poking up. That way they're easily seen. And then you're going to take your pepper and you're going to roll it in your flour and just try to coat it as evenly as possible. And you're just going to set that aside for a minute. I'm trying to show you the well-behaved peppers and the not so well-behaved peppers because every pepper is just so different. Here's a pretty decent pepper. The skin came off easily. So I'm going to put the cheese inside this one. I can actually fit quite a bit of cheese in this one. And then you're going to roll this one. Okay, this was, I believe, 4 egg whites. So once you get it to this point, you just want to add 1 egg yolk. And even up to 6 to 8 eggs, I still only use 1 egg yolk. You don't need too much. Okay, hopefully your oil is heated up at the same time as your eggs are ready. So then you're going to take your pepper and you're just going to, this is what I do. I just take my pepper and submerge it into the egg. I know it can get a little bit messy. I'm sure there's other ways to do it. That's just what I do. And then I'm going to carefully put it in the oil. See, you can see my toothpick, so there's no way I'm going to lose that. And this pan only holds about 3 peppers, so I'll just have to do a couple of rounds of peppers or get my bigger pan out. You don't want to squish your peppers too tightly together, because then it'll make it difficult to flip them over in the oil. So this should take anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes per side. Just depends if your oil got heated up good enough. And you want the egg to be a golden brown color. Okay, it looks like we're ready to flip. Usually I just take a spatula, get under it and flip it over. Sometimes I may need a fork or something extra. You don't want to get your fingers down in that oil. This is why you need a little extra room so you can flip your peppers. So if you have some kind of rack, a wired rack, you could put this on a plate on top of some napkins to soak in the grease. I like to just have the airflow around it and let the grease drip through. So then there's plenty of room for some more peppers. Okay, so here is how it turned out. I got my rice and my stuffed pepper. We could also make some salsa and put salsa on top. Like I said, you serve it with tortilla. Tonight I'm also going to be making some meat with salsa on the side. So it looks like it turned out pretty good. And even the peppers that had the split in them, I told you that they would cover up just fine with the egg. So let me know in the comments if this looks good, if you've tried it, or if you're going to try it. And thank you all so much for watching. See you next time.